Right, I'm delighted to be joined this morning by Mr. Robert Beynat, the Chief Executive of Vinexpo. Mr. Beynat, welcome to London.
Thank you, and good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so we're coming back to Europe this year. We've got your flagship show in Bordeaux in June.
Yes.
But, of course, last year we were off in Hong Kong, weren't we? How did that go last year?
Well, it was an enormous success, larger, bigger, and successful than we expected, and we expect a success, of course, as the Asian market is booming. All the Asian markets are booming, including Japan. But the main market focusing the attention of all the trade is China, of course.
Now, where does this leave Europe as, with its reputation as kind of the hub of the wine world? Is this maybe not the case anymore?
The idea is come to my mind in '98 when there was the handover between China and UK and Great Britain. And I thought that it will happen things in this region of the world. That's why, of course, we had 1,500 visitors in Bordeaux in the flagship coming from Asia, which is not bad. 1,500 people taking the plane to go to see our show. But I thought that the market will rise and we need to have more contacts. As our objective is to help the trade, to accompany the trade, I decided to organize a smaller show dedicated to Asia. It means we selected the companies to exhibit. They have to sold before. And, of course, we open the gates only to Asian buyers. Of course, professionals, the same rules as in Bordeaux. And it was successful since the beginning. Well, in 2000 and 2002, we had the idea to go to Tokyo because the Japanese say, come to us, as they say. It was successful, but we returned after in Hong Kong. And so it will be, it's the fifth time. It will be the sixth time as in 2012, we'll be again in Hong Kong. And more and more people interesting about the wine and spirit business.
Well, before Hong Kong next year, we've got Bordeaux this year. So
yes.
What can we expect from this year's Vinexpo?
Well, it will be comparable. The truth is that we don't want to extend the exhibition. As you know, it's the main exhibition in the world, number one. It's huge in terms of size. We have to keep the human size of this exhibition, and we don't want to build more buildings. So it's close to 100,000 square meter of exhibition, and among 2,400 and 2,500 companies exhibiting from all over the world. And, well, we had a decreasing of the number of visitors in 2009, as in June 2009 we were in the heart of the crisis. But we lost only 7%, which is nothing. From 50,000 we go to 46, 45,000. We expect to reach close to 50,000 again. But since 27, since our last 50,000 visitors, things change. Things change because of the crisis. Things change because of more and more concentration in this business.
I mean, are we expecting this year's show to be impacted by for example, the woes we have in Spain and Portugal at the moment? Do you expect them to impact upon the show?
It has been already concerned, as, of course, the exhibitors from Spain, from Portugal, from Greece, from everywhere, including France, including the United States, they are prudent. They are very careful, and they ask us, please, could you wait 1 week more, 2 weeks more to have the reservations checked? Yeah. And we say yes. At the end, we will have them. We have them, and we have reached 95% of our objective today, and we have the letter of the other ones. So people are prudent. They are wondering what will happen, when the crisis will finish, when the consumer will be confident about the future.
You mentioned the consumer confidence. I mean, it does, from the facts that we've seen this morning, it doesn't seem that the world's wine market has been that negatively impacted by the recession. Consumption, for example, on a global scale is up.
You're right. The consumer is watching, but he didn't stop to drink wine. The world consumption globally was stabilized between 2009 and 2010. That's for 2010. It's a forecast, but we know that, and it will re-increase. It's 1% more per year in terms of volume each year in the next years.
Now, looking ahead over the next 3, 4, 5 years, which markets in particular, aside from Asia, can we see really becoming big growth markets?
UK. You are the number one importer in the world. Of course, you don't produce a lot of wine. You are the number one importer. Your population is increasing, and you have also a part of very traditional consumers, but also you have new consumers coming to the market, especially women with new products and so on.
You mentioned women. I mean, has wine historically, then, in your opinion, not really been focused on women?
Well, it depends on the country, but it was a tradition, the last century and the centuries before, that the men buy the wines. Today, who is coming to the supermarket? It's the women. So the women buy, and the women want to learn, and they will. As in Asia, we see that especially in Asia, but today in UK and in France too, in the very traditional markets, women they have their influence on the consumption. Watch in the restaurants today. Sometimes the sommelier coming to the table say, "May I give the menu, the list of wine to Mr. or Mrs.?" Yeah. Okay? Today it's. Well, 20 years ago, you were very surprised. Today, no.
Now, France is still the world's leading exporter of wines, yet it does seem, consumption is on a downward trend, isn't it? Is there something that must be done to kind of reverse this slide?
As you say, the consumption in France is decreasing. Of course, we are the champions of consumption per capita with the Italians. One sum in the Italian, one sum in us, around 50 liters per head. But in Italy, things are stabilizing. In France, it continues to decrease in terms of volume. I'm not speaking about value, but in terms of volume. So the French producers have to export. When you lose some quantities in your own market, you have to export. So it's the challenge for them. Well, they used to export. They know exportation. The problem is that they lose in terms of volume, but France remain far from the second one, the main exporter in value. About 7.7 billions of US dollar in 2009. The second one, Italy, was 4.4. So more or less the double. Huh? Yeah. More or less the double. So France is very in advance in terms of exportation in value.
And I noticed that you're predicting the US to become the world's biggest market for still light wines.
Yeah.
What's driving that?
The US producers, the best sellers of wine, and the best people able to develop the wine lovers around the country are the producers of the same countries. Without Mr. Gallo, without Mr. Mondavi, no consumption of wine in the United States. Less importations of wines from France, Italy, and so on. And the story is repeating in China. That's why China have to produce more. The more China will produce, the more the Chinese will drink and understand the wine, and the more they will import wine.
Is there a vast gap in kind of the consumer knowledge in established markets like Europe and North America compared to that in Asia, or do you feel now that the gap is closing?
No, the gap is closing. The reputation of the French wines is always the highest, especially the Cru Classé and the other ones. And with the problem of counterfacts, we have to care about all these things. But the challenge is to explain to the Asians and the Chinese particularly that there is good wine at each price. Wine is not reserved to an elite. Of course, there is wine very expensive, you use you buy one bottle per year for your anniversary or I don't know a marriage, but you can drink wine every day, reasonably, but every day. At a good price, It will not be the same one for the anniversary, but it will not be the same pleasure, but it will be a pleasure too.
Now, looking at moving away from wine, we can move into look at the spirits category as well. I think we've got we're seeing a kind of real shift in consumer trends. We're seeing the likes of rum, tequila, bourbon on the rise, particularly here in the UK. Admittedly from very small bases, but we are seeing consumers now switching back onto drinks that had perhaps gone out of fashion. Why do you think that we're seeing growth now in these categories?
Well, the spirit market is another game. Of course, it's the same circuits. There's more or less the same shops, the same places in the supermarkets. But it's another game because the business is very concentrated. With 10 companies, you have 80% of the business in the spirit. But the taste of the consumer also evaluates. Without no doubt, vodka was and remained the star. But the increasing of vodka consumption will decrease. It was not less, but the speed of increasing will decrease. And one of the not new but renewed product is rum. It's rum because you find today good rums. It's very natural, the rum, and there is a lot of investment in advertising and marketing from these big companies about rum. And in the 8 main product, of course, remain whiskey. Tomorrow, the French will drink more whiskey than the British. You know that. Really? As the British in
your prediction
years will drink more wine than the French, in terms of volume. Huh?
That's very interesting. Now, just
per capita, global.
Yeah, sure. Now, just finally, with all these thousands of wineries and visitors coming over to Vinexpo this year, and indeed flying out to Asia last year, as it were, that's a lot of air traffic built up within the wine trade. Is there anything that Vinexpo does to try and offset the carbon footprint involved in getting people over there?
No, because I think an event of 5 days every 2 years. The carbon printing, it's so different of the car going to every day in the city.
No, that's fine. It's just it does seem to be.
We don't know.
It does seem to be becoming a bit more of a key topic within the industry now. This sustainability, being eco-friendly.
We are working on the agricultural product, and everybody know it's natural. Of course, we have to air condition the building, so there is a carbon printing. Of course, there is thousands of cars coming. Of course, thousands of planes around the world bringing the people. There is a carbon printing, but calculating that for 5 days.
Well, fair enough. Well, Mr. Beynat, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.